Thanks for staying with us. It's Rose on all sides. My name is Rose Peter Graham. For over 42 days, a man called Omoyele Sowore is behind bars. He's been held by the DSS so they could carry out their investigation. That's what we were told. But I guess today makes it 42 days that Sowore is behind bars. And of course, we know that most of his supporters have been demonstrating every Monday outside the Nigerian High Commission, and maybe they tried to do it in Nigeria, but that very day that they were meant to, the revolution now protest was meant to take off, they were dispensed in no time with by tear gas and maybe excessive force of the security forces in Nigeria. In the studio with me today to discuss the human rights situation in Nigeria under, and of course, the President Muhammadu Buhari administration is Kelvin Ideye, the founder, Benin Political Forum and the New Nigerian Political Forum. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
And of course, Fatai Oguribido is a journalist and social-political analyst. He's a friend of the house. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, and of course, Ayo Gudimu, he has put his back. He's been unrelenting about the Free Sowore Now campaign. He's the coordinator of the Take It Back UK. Thank you very much, sir, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so now let us do this. What is happening to Sowore? Who is he communicating with? And is it right? What's the history? What's going to be the future? What is expected? Would he be released? Or would the DSS go back to the court and take, and speak to the court to give them more permission? I'm looking for the right word for that now, so they could still hold him behind bars. Let me start with you, Kelvin Ideye. What's your opinion about the situation so far?
My opinion about the situation is Sowore should not be behind bars. He has not, what has he done wrong? He is just talking, voicing the opinion of many people. The Nigerian people are suffering. There's no direction. The government is running like a rudderless ship. No direction, no coordination, nothing. And this is a Nigerian that should be celebrated, coming out and standing, saying people should come out and stand against it. Now, whether the word revolution was used or not, personally, that is insignificant. What is important is the state of Nigeria. Nigeria is a failed country. And if anyone comes out risking their own life to come out and tell people to stand up, we should celebrate such people. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any wrong with what Sowore has done. I support him. I believe in what he's doing. And I'm standing up against the ills of the Nigerian government and the suffering of the people. I'm with the people, I'm for the people, and that's how it is.
Mr. Oguribido, what's your position?
Well, actually, I sympathize with Sowore. He's a nice guy, very much, having the interest of Nigeria at heart, and I really appreciate that. But if we go back to Israel, he dug his own grave, actually. Because if I take you back to what happened prior to the election of 2011, he was beefing off the image of Buhari so intensively that Sahara reporters actually is instrumental to the choice of the Keba, because they were looking for whom to push forward. Those who have hijacked Nigeria for a very long time, they were looking for whom to push forward to be able to achieve their aim. And that's the aim of trying to find a way that they subjugate the entire Nigerians and they put out, their own intention, their own plan, which nobody in Nigeria today can ever say, just to put that plan in play. So they were looking for somebody to be pushed across for this intention, for this plan, and for these motives. So, and Buhari came handy for them. Why? Because Sahara reporters was trying to, single-handedly, was promoting Buhari against Jonathan far back to 2010-2011 election. And the coddling between him and the, actors, both the Shikeba and their offshoots in Erufai and Co.
Yes.
was actually what sold Buhari to the Keba to be pushed across for 2011 election. So A lot of, blackmailers sent across about Jonathan. Even one of the team members was single-handedly pushing Buhari 2010 and 11. So when 2015 came, the Keba just saw a good man in Buhari, and they saw this guy is being promoted for a very long time. Let's just push him to achieve our aim. And it worked out for them. It's very unfortunate that he's facing what he's facing now. But he dug his own grave. Thinking about the humanitarian aspect of it, we are having somebody who is thinking about how Nigeria should emancipate. And we are having a nation that is already grounded. So we need people like Sowore to be able to push across to the world.
Okay.
We're
talking about your opinion, saying Sowore dug his grave. Mr. Ayo Ogudimo has been a part of the Sowore's team for long. What's your take on that?
I flatly reject that. I think you can only see what is in front of you. At that point in time, there was a general consensus that the PDP machine had run its course. It wasn't really doing what it was supposed to do.
Yes.
We know there are background issues around that. I wouldn't accept that he dug his own grave, because you see, if you're in a democracy, which we are supposed to be,
yes,
you will still have this. You could speak about things. Your actions should not necessarily then mean that when you speak up, you end up in jail. So for me, I respectfully, I disagree with you. I can see where you're coming from.
Yes.
But I can say straight away, what Sowore has been doing is about democracy. And what he thought, all of us, majority was sold that the image that was sold of Buhari at that time was Buhari is coming in to fix the whole country. He's the man of anti-corruption man. He's the man that will get the economy going. He's the man that we can place trust in. But of course, we're all the wiser now. We're now into the next, we're into the next dispensation as the president now, two-time president now, and now the economy is in a mess. There's corruption everywhere. There is no accountability. The people are afraid to speak. Worse still, our democracy has been hijacked. So for me, the job of what Sowore did in 2015 was to try and tell people you have an alternative. It doesn't mean that is his own personal preference, but based on what he could see at that time, and many of us, he thought, right, okay, this is the man for the job. But now that's changed.
Okay, let me come to Mr. Ide. When Sowore was doing this, when he was painting the graffiti and talking about revolution now, and the concept of his revolution now, did you buy that idea? Like having the word revolution, they're going to take over Nigeria, this government is wrong, after losing an election and coming back to say, you want to stage a revolution against the government in power?
On the word or the use of the word revolution and saying you want to take over the government, I don't agree with that. However, revolution comes in different forms. There's a revolution of the mind, revolution of the thinking, revolution of freedom of speech, and there's so many different types of revolution. Even Buhari supported the revolution in Egypt. When it happened, he said Nigerians should copy the Egyptians. So how come the same Buhari who could say that under Jonathan, and Jonathan did not arrest him, is now acting as a tyrant, arresting people that have opposing views? The main thing here is this. Is there a need for somebody, anybody, to gather people together and say, let's think about this Nigeria. Is it working? Is it not working? Let's prefer solutions. We need people like that. We need people to come out and speak the truth against all odds.
Okay, Mr. Ayogundo, I want you to hold your thought. I want you to tell me the same question. How Sowore went about his revolution now concept?
Well, he did nothing wrong. Because in every democracy, there should be freedom of speech. And then what really baffled me in this scenario is the action has not been taken yet. It's only words that is being put across to the nation. And then, well, as he said earlier on, if you supported the revolution in Egypt, and you are not trumpeting that, Nigeria should take to this simply because somebody you didn't want in power was in power. And now that you are in power, you are now trying to subdue the same intention you had then. That is the peak of injustice. And this has underlined the injustices that has prevailed in Nigeria since the inception of this government. Let me remind you, June 6, 2017, a group of Arewa youths, they went to the world making a declaration that they wanted the Igbos to leave the north, giving them 3 months ultimatum. What could be more subversive than that? And we faced similar scenario when the issue of Ruga came, and they were giving Southwest deadline that within 1 month, unless they accepted Ruga, they will be overrunning the Southwest. Nothing has ever been heard about those Arewa youths. So where's justice in Nigeria? This guy was only mouthing, he was only putting words across, and you are now quick to go and arrest him. Where is the world? Where is the world press?
Okay, I want your response, please.
Right, straight away, for me, what Shewere was talking about, you will often hear this time when Shewere's around, revolution without ammunition. So that is the clue, right there. Revolution without ammunition. Now, what he was talking about was the social revolution. Now, if you go and look in the dictionary, there's the revolution, it's in its strictest term. It says armed revolution, where you're going to go take arms. Nowhere can this government in anywhere find any quote or reference or inference or implying of the term we're going to use armed means to prosecute the revolution we're talking about. What he was talking about was social revolution, where the people will be empowered to begin to, for the first time, hold their governance to account. And there is nothing wrong in that.
But Shewere is not new to situations like this.
In what sense, sorry?
No, it's because from the school, student union,
Yes.
he's been
Yeah, he's not new to it, no.
He's an active. He's always been an activist, and he's quite a good one at that. And also, he's also a successful entrepreneur. So it's a good combination. The man can feed himself. He doesn't need to depend on politicians for their loot. He can feed himself, which is what the average Nigerian should be striving for. Secondly, the guy has been an activist. Yeah, an activist. He's always stood up for the people. Now, some people might have their own conclusions about that and say he's done this for whatever reasons.
Yes.
But he stood up, and that's what we should applaud. Rather than banging in jail, these are people that should be heroes.
Talking about him banging in jail, has anyone heard from him? What's the stories?
Well, my understanding is that there's family, only close family, friends, family are able to go and see him, and maybe one or two of his legal counsel. Those are the people that are in contact with him closely. He's doing well, although he's watching the things.
He wasn't kept in solitary confinement.
Well, that can be. That's another discussion that needs to be looked into. There was some talk about it, but we don't know. What we do know is that he's able to, his counsel can get access to him. Initially, we were told that he was kept in solitary confinement once on his arrest, but we don't know until he comes out himself. Everything we hear is more or less conjecture. Let's wait for him to come back and tell us. What we do know is that he's been able to, the people are able to get food into him and all that. So, but obviously, it's not a good condition to be in. And let's not forget, all he is doing, I reiterate, was encouraging fellow Nigerians to, for the first time, stand up for their rights. He wasn't asking for anybody to overthrow anyone. He wasn't. He was talking about the democratic process whereby the people, for too long, the people of Nigeria have been denied their right to participate in their own governance. Sovereignty belongs to the people, and he was trying to reconnect that to the people. Unfortunately, this government has silenced everyone who tries to wake up the people.
Okay, but what would you say is the reaction, Mr. Ogunribido, of Nigerians? Shouldn't, because it's like we're not seeing much support.
Thank you very much for that, because actually it's very disappointing that even our so-called NGOs, where are they today? Even the media practitioners, what effort are they making to make sure that this guy who represents, the interests of media in Nigeria, his issue is not being put, to fall as regards the issue of lobbying the government and trying to criticize the government for the action of, making this guy to go through what he's going through at the moment. It's really disappointing. And I don't actually blame Nigerians because they feel for Sowore, but everybody has been brought to their nails in Nigeria. Everybody is a victim of this brutal system, whereby you cannot say a word, people are watching you, and whenever they have their chance of reaching you, they incarcerate you. So, and then, don't forget, most parts of Nigeria is being impoverished now.
Yes.
Most people who have money in the south are being so coerced, they are being blackmailed, they are one way or the other so-called corruption fight. They are trying to find a way to subjugate. I mean, I'm not being sectional. Nobody can say they love Nigeria more than I do. But when you see a system that is not right, that there's no justice, that there's no fair play, then we have to express ourselves. We have no other country than Nigeria. Well, we are all stakeholders in the project called Nigeria. So we have every right to express our feelings. We have every right to express our reservations. We have every right to tell the government where they go wrong, and they all have the duty of putting right what has been wrong.
Very well. Mr. Ide, I know you have, sometimes you take up the mantle and you go out and you're campaigning for Sowore. I see what you're doing on social media concerning Sowore. What is your opinion? Nigerians are not fully responding, are they? Are they not showing? I mean, a lot of youths, I'm not drawing a conclusion, but I want.
Day for house, Mama day for house, I will build house. We
I get one child.
Fella sang all these things.
Yeah.
Fella came, fella died.
Yes.
We know Nigerians. Yeah. When it comes to the other day I went to the South African embassy. It was just myself and another lady.
Yes.
That was there. If I had invited people for a party, I could get 5,000 people like
Of
that.
course.
Yeah, but let's come out for serious things. We saw some Nigerians there taking pictures, and we said, we're here to demonstrate against the killing of Nigerians. I think I said, they come. I said, you they come and you they go. That's Nigeria for you. Yeah, we only support the thieving politicians. After they've looted everything, then we're loyal to them. Nigerians are ready to die for their political masters, or they're ready to die for religion. Yeah, go speak to a Nigerian and say, oh, your pastor is one thing or the other. He's ready to kill you, or she's ready to kill you. But any other thing, they're lukewarm. So it's typical Nigeria. You deserve the leaders you get. If the leaders are doing something wrong and you're quiet, then live with it. And I would like to just say this quickly.
Yes.
The church leaders, the pastors, the imams, the people, the media people, the ordinary Nigerians, everyone has just gone dumb. They've gone mute.
But what I don't understand is this. I know these people are not the same. President Muhammadu Buhari is different from former President Goodluck Jonathan. Yeah. But during Jonathan's time, we were all on BBM, we were all on, social media. We were shouting, bring him down, burn him to the stake, take him to the stake, strip him naked. But now everyone seems to be quiet, especially the western part of Nigeria that, control the media. What is happening? You are very Yoruba. You're also Yoruba. What is that? Why are your people not speaking out for
one of the issues, if I may say, one of the issues that you say, the people who control the press also control what is written in that press. So there's a dichotomy between what the people on the ground are feeling and what is being written in many of this press. So they are not reflecting the real nature of what the people are feeling. And in fact, they are aiding and abetting in suppressing the people that they're meant to serve. Yeah. Many of those who have all of this platforms, newspapers, TV, radio stations, they are all in on this agenda. And they are supposed to be the fourth arm of the governance. The journalism is supposed to be the fourth arm of governance, which is supposed to stand between the people and the government, to make sure that the government, to hold them to account.
You're a
but
journalist.
It's not happening.
Well,
that's guys, getting back to you.
That is very true, because I don't share what my brother has been talking about. But let us go to Nigeria as a country, and let us, actually reflect on what happens, generally in the country. We are having a system whereby unless you have contact with the system, with the government, you cannot make it. So many of the media are being made to be so observant to the government. And for this reason, many media houses have already compromised. This is the problem we have. This has got nothing to do with ordinary reporters who go on their daily job in Nigeria. And Nigerian press is one of the most vibrant in the entire world. But when we are talking about the financial power that they hold, they haven't got a say. The most money most Nigerian media make is from the government. So for this reason, they are very, very, reserved. And they are very careful to express what will anger the system and what will anger the government, because that they may pay hardly,
let me put this question to him. Last week I had the servant leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, that is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He said something, because he recently, not recently, before Showore got on the revolution now, they met.
Okay.
There were pictures of them speaking across each other, and of course they took pictures outside the building. And he said that Showore's people neglected him, and that if it was his own case, maybe it would have been different. But what do you think? You are from the south.
I'm an Edo man.
Okay, so what's your opinion? Do you think he has been abandoned?
Of course he's been abandoned. Of course he's been. The media, this is someone that brought back investigative journalism back to Nigeria. He was dead. We were just the mouthpiece of the government. So whatever the government did, the newspaper people just publish it. This guy brought back investigative journalism. He brought life back to Nigeria. Now, the guy's been incarcerated. Where are the people? They've all gone quiet. Yeah, they just watch it. How do you think he will feel now, thinking, I put my life on the line for you guys? Where's the support?
I could have been in America, where it's comfortable.
Could have been relaxing, just having fun. But he did it for the people, not for himself. He's a self-made man. He's got the money. He's got the business. He's educated. He's got everything. Yeah, but he put it on the line for the people. Now, it's time for the people to pay him back. But where are they? They're sleeping.
What if the people said, we never sent you? You want to talk to me, Mr. Ayo?
Well, actually,
what if the people said, hey, we know the situation is not bad. We're stomaching it. What's your own self?
Well, the thing is, every one of us, whether we care to admit it or not, knows that the situation on ground in Nigeria is unacceptable. Something needs to be done. And we need to give kudos to the likes of Showore and Nnamdi Kanu for standing up and speaking up for the people. We need leaders like that. We need leaders who will step up. And once we have a leader who has stepped up, whether we fully agree, and by the way, not all IPOB members agree with everything that Nnamdi Kanu is saying. Same thing. We shouldn't expect, nobody would, I'm not saying that everybody should accept everything that Showore is saying. This is the beauty of a dialogue with leadership. When you have leadership will lead you to ask questions or maybe to support them. So what we are saying here is now that Showore needs all of us. When he was out, I remember many people going to town hall events. You could see everybody. Showore, they're there. They're like,
of course, but what happened at the end of the day after the election? He was only able to gather 33,000.
But we all know that election was rigged, so we're not even going to there. But the thing is this: the fact that when he started saying, "Look, this is a social revolution now. We want our people to get engaged, to begin to hold their governors to account." People were saying, we will support you. Yes, we're there. But now, we now see that all of what they were saying, especially, I can well understand people who are in Nigeria. I understand that. Because there's a woman, and by the way, I need to mention a woman's name. Sariu Akomu, Sariu Akomu. I'll give kudos to that woman. She stood in front of 5 policemen, and they beat her up. She was a fufu seller. And she stood up against them and said, look, I'm standing up for my rights. And 5 burly policemen with one policewoman, they beat her up. She's in her 70s. That woman must be a symbol for our fight against the injustice in our country.
But why would we be having such a situation in a democracy?
Well, we haven't got a democracy. That's a fact. We haven't. We just haven't. We haven't got it.
Is it really a democracy?
We haven't.
It doesn't fit the definitions. Because in a democracy, just like what's happening with Boris Johnson, They're tearing him left, right, and center. No one's being arrested.
Yeah, no one is being arrested.
Exactly. That's a democracy work in progress. In America, Donald Trump, you see people tearing him left, right, and center. No one's being arrested. But in Nigeria, you get arrested for speaking the truth. That's not democracy.
I'd like to add one more thing. The hypocrisy of the situation is this. Here we have Muhammadu Buhari, who in 2015 said, if the election is rigged, blood will flow, or what to that effect, in 2015.
Yeah.
And he wasn't arrested.
Exactly.
He wasn't arrested. And now this is a man saying, I'm asking the people to stand up for their rights. They are arrested. Can we not see the hypocrisy of the situation? Can we not see that we haven't got a democracy?
Let me read this out. It said that in May 2019, Amnesty International said that the human rights violations, such as extrajudicial executions, arbitrary arrest and detentions, torture, and other ill treatments, have been. They say here are some of the. Have been, the structure of these governments, arresting people because they say something that does not suit, the government. I mean, is this actually of it with President Muhammadu Buhari?
But it's obvious that since the inception of this government, the number of lives that has been so wasted surpasses whatever had been wasted in terms of life since even the civil war ended. Let us not equate it to the civil war because of the mass killing that happened during the civil war. But when you consider what has happened between 1970 and now,
yes,
the number of people killed in Nigeria outnumbered what has been happening in terms of governmental discharge in Nigeria since 1970 up to 2015.
Yes.
And I can assure you that we are just deceiving ourselves. There is no a nation in Nigeria. It's only an entrapment.
No, but wait a minute. What is really happening? I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to keep asking gentlemen this question. Yeah. Because it said here that there are some of political prisoners held arbitrarily by the Nigerian government. We have Omoyele Sowore. We have Abubakar Idris. Yes. We have Stephen Kefas. There is Sheikh Ibrahim El Zazaki. So we have Agbo Jalingo, a journalist who exposed the river states, but he was charged for treasoning. I think he was deceived that he was going to be interviewed, and then he was arrested. So, of course, that is some of the young men. Look at these brilliant minds who should be turning the economy of the country around. They are being locked up because they spoke out against the government. So there's Oluwole Adebayo, there's Jones Abiri, and George Uba. This is sad. What's your take about this young man?
What I'd like to say is this, from my comment. Quick, look, if we are saying this is the reason. For all of us here, we're saying if the government cannot perform its basic function, then it is time for us to have either a restructuring or referendum, because we're tired of having the same old story 56, 57, 58 years soon, in which we are going to be hearing the same old, 59 years actually. It's the same old story of, yes, it will get better. We're tired of a governance that fails to actually allow people to actually express their democratic right that is enshrined in our constitution. This is terribly unacceptable. All these people are doing is exercising their democratic right. Like you said, you mentioned the British government. Look at what was happening with Boris Johnson. People have been going for him. Even in the parliament, a man stood up and actually called him up about his racist tendencies. And he had to accept it. And he said, I'm sorry, under his breath. So, what are we talking about?
I want to ask Calvin, if you can. Should we actually be practicing a democracy, or there should be a different kind of system of government for Nigerians? Because it's like the elder cannot go wrong, or whoever is in power takes all.
For me, I'd like to go back to the goodwill that Nigeria had when Buhari came into power with the APC. They promised everything.
Yes.
Like Mohammed. And they promised heaven, and they've delivered hell. that's Nigeria for you. What they promise and what they say is totally different from the reality on ground. Now, what kind of system we should have, I'll leave that to the Nigerians. What's wrong with us talking? What's wrong with us having a debate? What's wrong with us mixing our minds and understanding each other, rather than one person comes and says, this is what we've got to do? The problem in Africa, and this is how I see it,
yes.
You see this thing with these elders, the elder is always right. The elder is always correct. An elder that's graduated from the UK in 1957 will tell you, a young person who's a recent graduate, that, do you know when I graduated? Shut up there, you can't talk when I'm talking. What do they really know? You know outdated theories. These new people know the modern things that are going on. Yeah? How can we have people like Buhari, who probably does not know the difference between an intranet and an internet, and the internet? How can we have people like that ruling a country in this digital age? How? Where? What's the use of us all going to school
yes.
and then coming out to vote for the people that...
Okay, because okay, since you mentioned voting, I would take you up on that, because we know that the election tribunal actually gave it to President Muhammadu Buhari actually won, and of course the PDP lost out. What, were you coughing?
No,
I'm going to read this very soon. I'm going to talk to you. He said Justice Mohammed Gaba, who led the 5-member panel of the tribunal, dismissed the petition of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the PDP, the political umbrella he ran under, and he said its candidates, Atiku Abubakar, is in his entirety saying, he said they failed to prove their case beyond reasonable doubt. This was a shocker to me. With all the evidence, and the court also said President Buhari is not only qualified, but is eminently qualified to run for president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I want you to talk to me first.
Honestly, Rose, can I tell you something?
Yes.
I wish you've been going this morning to analysis on the papers and even on the internet and even within the conventional medias.
Yes.
You will see sycophancy everywhere. It's like a case of if you can't beat them, let's just join them. And let me tell you, we are just fooling ourselves. There is no nation in Nigeria. It's an entrapment. A situation whereby the regions cannot, within their own scope of culture, exposure, education, understanding, they can't develop themselves. Is that a country? It's like every feet of all the regions are held down in Aso Rock, and the destiny of all the regions are swept under the carpet in Aso Rock. This is the situation because we haven't got a system. Nigeria is an entrapment. It's a breadbasket for some Keba members.
Why are people afraid of speaking against President Muhammadu Buhari? Because we found it easy to handle Goodluck Jonathan. Wait,
sorry.
Let me hear you. Sorry.
If there's a problem, you can't just look at it from the surface. You have to go to the bottom. Buhari was the head of state, a military dictator, military head of state. And he's taken off the military clothes, he's put on the agbada, but the thinking is still that of a military man. And that's why in the military, there's no space for anyone that has that dissent or any alternative view. You speak out, you get banged up. And that's how he's reacting.
And so there's fear in Nigeria.
Yeah.
People are afraid.
Outright fear. People are afraid to speak up because they know if they speak up in Nigeria on ground, next minute they will find themselves in jail. We are not in a democracy.
No.
We are in a military dictatorship.
Right.
It is the only thing is they are only in civies. But they are, make no doubt about it, we are back into the era of the 80s.
And the entire security force are loyal to the president.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, you want to say something?
Let me tell you something. Since the end of the Civil War, Nigeria has been hijacked by a group of Keba. And no government has ever existed in Nigeria that didn't come from that Keba, either directly or indirectly. We see Obasanjo as representing Yoko but he never fought for the interest of Southerners. Nobody's even asking to fight for the interest of Southerners.
Yes.
All we want is we are a country. We are Nigerians. Imagine if what Buhari is doing now, putting everybody who is Fulani in every security institution,
every sensitive position.
Obasanjo, I done the same thing during this regime. What could have been the reaction of the Keba? But because the Keba are those that have hijacked the destiny of Nigeria, they are the one that dictates the pace in Nigeria. Wherever is going, there has never been an election in Nigeria. They premeditate it from behind. And as I'm talking to you today, Buhari is only a figurehead there. Those who rule Nigeria are the Keba. The armed military being directly, controlled by the Emirates. This is the situation that we find ourselves.
Okay.
So the regions.
I've got two questions to put to you, gentlemen. Number one, someone said after all of this, he said in 2005, Atiku supported a man without certificates against a man with a PhD. In 2019, he went to court to beg the tribunal to disqualify the man without a certificate.
Well, no. For me,
yeah.
You know what is worst about it?
Yes.
Not only do we have
A man without a certificate as our president, we also have a Chief Justice of Nigeria who said the termite ate his qualification.
How bad can he get? How bad can he get?
That's what Nigeria is a comedy.
It's a big comedy.
It's just that it's a comedy mixed with horror. People, you can't laugh because people are dying. Yeah. Personally, our president has shown, Buhari has shown his loyalty to his religion and to his tribe. That's where his loyalty is. You've arrested Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes.
How many people did Nnamdi Kanu kill? Or how many people has he killed? How many people? What has he done? What has Showore done? But what about the Fulani headsmen who are committing genocide across Nigeria? They're killing people from the Hausa land, they're killing Kanuris, they're killing people in the Middle Belt, they're killing people in Edo, they're killing people in the West, they're killing people in the East, they're killing people in the South. Yeah, and they're the fourth most dangerous terrorist organization recognized internationally, but not by Nigeria. Does that make sense?
And then Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist?
Exactly. Exactly.
Just he's been named a terrorist.
Nelson Mandela was labeled a terrorist by Margaret Thatcher.
Miyetti Allah that have been involved in countless, actually telling the government, they want them to arrest, they have to arrest this person, they have to arrest that person. They're dictating the pace.
Yeah.
And they are a body that the government should actually be put in jail for the members involved in killing Nigerians.
Okay, but instead the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria budgeted 100 billion naira into setting up a radio station, or shared that within them, and then also set up a radio station.
Well, he thinks a Benin man, that I don't want to have a radio station. Does he think as a Benin man, I don't want to have a radio station, I want to communicate with my people?
But who is talking? What? He just won another term, so we have another 4 years of President Muhammadu Buhari ruling Nigeria the best way he seems capable, which is absolutely unacceptable because he's all about his kingsmen. But what is happening? Because you have intelligent people with him, like the chairman of the party, the former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole. You have
Sorry. Can we go back a bit? He was my governor.
Okay.
And right now, he's fighting against an effective and productive governor. Just because he does not want to share the loot. Obaseki is the kind of person that he will account for every penny. And he calculated it. He says it takes about 2,000 naira to educate a child for a term. Why will he waste money on rubbish? Yeah, giving money to people because they're political party holders, just giving them money as Oshiomhole used to do. He's not that kind of man. This is the kind of man that should be ruling Nigeria, not even just Edo State. Now, calling Oshiomhole intelligent, yes, he is astute when it comes to political maneuvering. and Boji Boji.
Boji.
Boji. Nothing is clear.
Yeah.
That's where he's smart. But anything other than that, no, not smart.
Wait, let me ask Mr. Iden one more question.
Yeah.
When the former governor, who is now the party chairperson for the APC, that's Governor Oshomole, the ex-governor Oshomole, he said he was able to deal with the political godfathers, so he handicapped them.
Yeah.
But is that not the same role?
He handicapped them and he replaced them. Yeah. So he took all of them out. Fair enough. And he is now the godfather because he wants to dictate about what happens in Edo State. The people that he's appointed for NDDC, yeah, they came from him. This is meant to be from the governor. He's trying to impose his will on Obaseki. Obaseki is a clean man. And he said it when he came to the UK. He said he made his money before he came into politics. If they don't want to vote for him, he will go back to his business. But he will bow down to no man. And I love that in him.
Okay. You have said that about him. He's in the Oshomole is in Buhari's team. Tinubu is in Buhari's team. And we know that Tinubu is another brilliant mind in terms of politics, in terms of being an entrepreneur, businessman, you know. But he is with Buhari and he's seeing everything that is happening. Why is he not speaking up against it?
Because it's being used against his own people. That's the reality. Because if Tinubu today is thinking that he's going to be Nigeria's president, he's living in fool's paradise.
Never.
Because why would you say that?
Never.
Because it's the reality.
It will never be.
Let us go back to history. Even Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who was, actually most qualified, what happened to him?
He was never allowed to be president.
MK Abiola, what happened to him? Despite being the main benefactor to all these so-called military men.
Yes.
And when Akutala worked with them, what happened to him?
So
guys, I would ask
you
you
can
to
see that it's like and then the problem now is the unity of Southwest rests on Tinubu because his own faction of Yoruba people they all have the belief that they are.
Let's do that quickly. Definitely.
That is going to actually be the president.
I will have to ask you to hold that thought. I have a caller, Justice. Okay. Hello, Justice. Hello, Justice. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, hello.
I can hear you.
Okay, yes. I've been listening to your program. I have a contribution I would like to make in regards to the discourse.
Can you speak louder, please?
I said I've been listening to your program, and I have a contribution I would like to make in regard.
Yes, let's have your contribution quickly.
Okay, my opinion is that we are in Nigeria, or Nigerians, we are very good at discussing personality. The problem I see that confronts us as a people is that we don't hold those who are meant to hold to account. We don't hold them to account. The people who are responsible for the destruction in Nigeria are our own people. We have people that were elected to represent us. These guys are off it. They don't do anything. They don't represent us. They represent their personal interests. And we are not holding these people to account in our respective constituencies. They steal our money. They steal our collective commonwealth. And we celebrate them. Until we begin to address this issue, the problem that confronts us as Nigerians will continue to be there. That's the way I see it. This is my opinion.
You guys want to respond?
Well, the point is, when the end is shorting, what do you expect the body to be? So we have a system whereby even the president himself is not as honest. And they unpick those that they want to be in power. And those they unpick are those who have the same trait as they are sort of the gangster sort of nature.
Okay, so talking quickly about the election tribunal before we end, would you say the judiciary has been compromised?
Totally, 100%.
150%.
Let me remind that.
50%.
Let me remind Rose.
Yes.
Prior to the election, what happened? What did Buhari do about the CJ?
Yeah.
Onogan was removed. So everything had been premeditated right before the election.
Okay.
So what do you expect? So that's why at times when people are saying that, oh, the victory has come, I keep wondering, what about the issue of those who are imported from Niger, from Chad, to come and vote? What about the violence that premeditated everywhere across the north, in the south, west?
Gentlemen, I must say this discussion has not ended, and I really do hope that when I call you to come and talk about these issues, you would oblige. I know you guys are busy.
One more thing.
Yes.
The 19th of September, the UN, there's going to be a protest by the Sowore group in New York, and we're going to be doing some series of protests on the 18th and 19th all over Europe and in Canada, I believe. So please watch out for that. Don't just be a bystander. If you're in diaspora, get involved.
Thank you for doing that. And of course, we must commend you for what you did, Mr. Kevin Ideye. You went to the South African embassy or high commission, and you stood there with your placard and
we were there
telling them
we were
you were also there.
We went from the Nigerian embassy on the 9th of September, and we were also at the US.
Beautiful. Congratulations, gentlemen. Okay, so that's the much we can take on the program. Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin Ideye, Mr. Fatai Ogunribido, and of course, Mr. Ayo Ogudimu. Yes, we're going to do this again. That's the one. Today. Next week, we're going to have some other, really serious topic. And remember this book, Don't Judge Me, I Am a Single Mother, is on Amazon. And tomorrow, of course, the movie that will be premiering at the Odeon Cinema, time, I think, is about 8 p.m. Please be there. Let us support ourselves, grow our industries, grow our economy. Who else do we have but ourselves? And of course, still don't forget about your support for Ben Television. On our website, you would find where you can make donations. Okay, and that's me. Uche is telling me, Rose, get up, set. Yes, and that's